Good evening and welcome to the Monday, July 17th, 2023 School Board meeting. Please stand for a moment of silence followed by the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Agenda, we have some amendments to the agenda. We will take, under consent, we will subtract 4.5, contract with North Florida Child Development.
We pulling that?
We're pulling that. We will put 4.6, administrative salary schedule, under items for individual consideration. That'll be 5.2. We will put 4.11, comprehensive reading plan, under items for consideration, 5.3. So we have 5.2 administrative salary and 5.3 comprehensive reading plan. Consent agenda items, 4.1 minutes, 4.2 career dual enrollment articulation, agreement with River Oak Technical College, 4.3 contract with behavioral management consultants, 4.4 contract with Kim Buchanan for speech and language services, 4.7 fundraisers, 4.8 Boys and Girls Club MOU, 4.9 contract with Claire Floyd, 4.10 supplemental positions, 4.12 FADSS membership. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent items.
We have a motion by Ms. Knight, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carroll. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Becky, 5.0. Items for individual consideration, 5.1, personnel changes. Mr. Killingsworth.
Did we ever do public comment? No. Okay. Was there any public comment? Okay.
No, sir.
That's right. Thank you.
If I may, due to all the fast changing, I'm going to give you some copies of what I'm going to be going over, if I may.
Pass it down. Both of them.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're not using the one online?
No, ma'am, there's a few additions to it, is
Okay,
all.
no problem.
We respect your request to have the minutes on time, but at the last minute, we're hiring some teachers, and we won't have another board meeting before the teachers begin.
And let me say, we are still interviewing this week, so we probably will end up having to, if I can, with Ms. Joseph's permission, we may end up having to have another meeting to try to fill a few holes. But let me go ahead and walk you through this. If you would, the sheet with the 4 instructional employee recommendations, 4 non-instructional recommendation, and then the 4 names for either resignation or declined. Let's look over that one first. If we will go to the non-instructional employee recommendation, first one on there, Pinetta Elementary School, Miss Lakeisha Allen. I'm asking that you please strike through her name on this particular one as a paraprofessional. So we would have 4 under our teaching or instructional area, 3 then under parapro, and then 4 that are resigning or declined. Now, we probably will have to do them in sections, because on the non-instructional employee recommendation, one of those names that are on there one of the board members will have to take a bye on it when we do that. And then there are 3 names on the back of that particular sheet that are bus drivers or sub-custodians that we're asking for approval for substitutes. So would you like to, let's do that one particular sheet first?
That's
Is that
okay.
okay? I asked your your approval to approve the 4 instructional recommendations. Ms. Burns, Kaser, Bush, and Frazier at this time.
Do we have a motion to approve those names at this time?
But wait a minute, okay. I want to know what an adjunct teacher is with the school
Adjunct,
system.
what that is, that person has a temporary certificate in business. However, she has taken the reading endorsement, so therefore, that is one of the spots where the state says we can do an adjunct, in other words, a specialty area, and then she can be in field and teaching in that particular area. And that way, also, we don't have to turn around and pop her for out of field a little bit later when I come back to you in probably a month.
Just wanted to know what that
Yes,
was.
ma'am.
The first time I've seen it.
Yes, ma'am, and that's a new way we're trying. The state has given us some
Leeway.
alternative ways of doing some things, so we're exploring some of those.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the 4 names under instructional employee recommendations?
I move to approve the instructional employee recommendation.
We have a motion by Mr. Carroll, second. Second by Ms. Thompson. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Becky, 5.0.
Okay, next are our non-instructional employees, and I ask that these 2 be approved. That's Ms. Plummer and Ms. Jocelyn for non-instructional recommendations, and
Okay.
everyone is able to vote there.
All right, do we have a motion to approve Ms. Plummer and Ms. Jocelyn?
I move to approve non-instructional employee recommendations, Ms. Plummer and Ms. Johnson.
We have a motion by Mr. Carroll, second.
I second.
Second by Ms. Knight. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Becky?
Okay, I have one more non-instructional
Okay.
recommendation as a parapro, and that is Mr. Matthew Thompson.
Yes, we will do this without, and
I will-
Ms. Thompson will be,
Yeah, recuse myself from
And you
Right.
have to state a reason why.
because he is my husband.
okay. All right, do we have a motion to approve Mr. Thompson?
I move to approve Mr. Thompson.
We have a motion by Mr. Carroll, second.
I second.
Second by Ms. Knight. Any discussion? All those in favor? Becky?
Okay, and then I have 4 names under either resignation or decline the spot at the bottom, as well as 3 on the back page for substitute bus driver or sub-custodian. I'm asking your approval on those.
Do we have a motion for the employee resignation, termination, retirement, leave of absence, and the approved bus substitutes for
I
approved
move-
substitutes?
I move to approve the employee resignation, termination, retirement leave of absence, and approval of the substitute bus drivers and sub-custodians.
We have a motion by Mr. Carroll, second.
I second.
Second by Ms. Thompson. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Becky, 5-0. All right.
Okay, and then on the single sheet that I gave you, there are 2 names under instructional and 1 for non-instructional. The 2 instructional are Ms. Smith and Ms. Fletcher, one being a math coach, the other one being a teacher. And then the non-instructional recommendation, as you can see, is Ms. Allen for the school nurse. That is why I had you scratch through the para on her earlier. She had originally accepted that spot, and as when we got here, she chose or preferred to do this. So that's why that was worked around like that. So I'm asking your approval for those 3 as
Do we have a
well.
motion to approve Ms. Smith, Ms. Fletcher, and Ms. Allen?
I move to approve the instructional recommendations and the non-instructional recommendations.
We have a motion by Mr. Carroll, second.
I second.
Second by Ms. Thompson. Ms. Knight, any questions? All those in favor, raise your hand. Becky, 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Killingsworth.
we hope to be back before you prior to school with a few more
Okay.
matters. Thank you.
5.2, administrative salary schedule. Ms. Joseph?
Okay, it is required for me to bring the administrative confidential salary schedule to you each year. And I'm presenting it. Do I have any questions?
This covers all the administrators plus the confidential secretaries?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Joseph?
She already answered mine.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the administrative salaries schedule?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the administrative salary schedule.
We have a motion by Ms. Thompson, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carroll. Any discussion? All those in favor? Becky, 5-0. 5.3, comprehensive reading plan. Comprehensive reading plan. Ms. Hill?
Thank you. The comprehensive reading plan was in your packet. I'm just here tonight to be able to answer questions for you about anything that you have concerns about.
I've already talked to you about this and Ms. Joseph. This is one of the reasons why we brought it down under discussion. And you did answer my question about classroom visits every 6 weeks. Explain that again. We'll start with that.
Okay. The state of Florida has what's called a literacy walkthrough that they like for us to use to make sure that when administrators and even the reading coaches go through those reading classrooms, that they use that particular walkthrough. That is not our district walkthrough form. It is separate because it's looking at the way that reading is being taught. And so it's very specific toward the reading strategies and the way the teacher's implementing the instruction for reading. And so when I put that in here, what the state wanted to know in this reading plan was how often would administrators go into classrooms to use that particular walkthrough. And so they go through classrooms all the time. They use our district. We have like a 5-minute walkthrough that they use all the time that is actually an online program that we use. And so, you know, they use those all the time. This was in reference to that literacy walkthrough that administrators do.
Okay, and I think what you hit on there all the time, I think knowing the reading problems that exist in the county, you know, we can look at it through rose-colored glasses and say it doesn't matter, it doesn't count, but basically there's problems. I would like to see it be more explicit instead of saying we do it all the time. In other words, I'd like to see it, if not daily, in other words, assign administrators to go into these classrooms, and not to sit down with a clipboard and not to have a big discussion.
Right.
Just to walk through, because that, I think, is very beneficial. I mean, I can go back to Columbia County when our principal, every day, he walked in our room, we expected it. But we knew he was coming, and that made a difference. And on this reading plan, I didn't see anything other than what you just described.
Well, and that actually would be in a separate, under something separate as far as just general walkthroughs. That would be something that Ms. Joseph would communicate, you know, with the principals of when it comes to, you know, evaluations and being present in classrooms.
But, I mean, can we, okay, now does that mean we can, how will this be communicated, let's say? And of course, I don't make the big decision, I know that, but I think knowing the problems that we have with reading, I think even with a new teacher, they have to be guided along, you know, blah, 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 you know.
Right.
In other words, I think it's beneficial to have regular walkthroughs.
Right.
And that's why when that 6-week thing, I thought, what? You know, but now I understand that, what that's all about.
Right.
But I still, and then there was another part there about fidelity. What do you do if they're not teaching to fidelity? Well, how do you know if they're not teaching to fidelity if you don't see what's going on, you know, in the classroom?
Right.
Do you
And-
agree with me or no? I
Well,
mean,
this is for documentation purposes.
Okay.
And so, do we expect the principals to be in the classrooms
But,
daily? Yes. Do they have to
Realistically?
document that
well, I don't.
formally daily? No.
No, I don't want to make it a big deal. I
Right.
just think a very brief, I mean, it only takes, if I was going to walk in a classroom, it'd take me about, what, a minute to walk in, look around, good morning, and you're out of there. In other words, be very visible and just, and they may, and the teacher may even have a question, you know, as they're walking through. But just what I guess I just feel like makes people accountable. There'll be no misunderstandings. The principal is going to be coming in my classroom. And now maybe no one will agree with me here, but I just feel like it's beneficial, you know, for the principal to be, and assistants, not just the principal. You
Right.
know, it's just the principal can't do it all. And, let's see, now, I had made a few notes here. Okay. Family engagement, I kind of looked in that, but you mentioned
Okay.
the free reading, the book that
Right,
they can get.
right. And
which-
so what our procedure for that is, like I've already been posting on the website
Yeah.
over and over and over again, trying to, get parents to see
Encourage
it
them
so
to
that
do
they're
it, that's
aware.
right.
We sent home flyers last
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
We also will be handing out, we'll have a computer there, but we'll also hand out the flyer when we have parent meetings with the parents of the students who qualify. Because the ones who qualify are the ones that are below, their grade level reading. And so when we have our MTSS meetings, multi-tiered system of supports, which we used to call RTI, when we have those meetings, which we will have at the beginning of the year for all students who are below grade level, we will hand out that information. We will have a computer there where the parent can sign up in the meeting. We will also be sending home a read-at-home plan. And in that read-at-home plan, it will have things that the parents can do with their children to help strengthen their reading ability.
Good, well, that's good, yeah. No. Now, I don't know how Miss Joseph feels about this, but I'm still going to go back to the walkthroughs. I'm going to, you can put it in the minutes if you want to, I just think it would be very beneficial if we would start something like that. And then the teacher, because we have a big turnover, this was mentioned in the reading plan right here about the turnover and new teachers, and they're coming and they're going. So they need support. There's no doubt about it. And looking at the reading scores, it's troubling. Now, it may have gotten a little better, but there's problems with reading. There's no doubt about it. So I just think, and I've lived through it myself, like I said, with the principal. You know, in other words, we knew he was coming, and we knew we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. It makes a difference.
I agree.
Okay. Well, thank you. For
Any other
concerns?
questions?
How do you like the central school, how do they break down the walkthroughs? I know the principal can't walk through every classroom. every
Right,
day.
right.
So how do they do that?
From what I see in Observe for Success, which is the program where we can track that they're doing walkthroughs, they're doing their grade levels that they're assigned to.
I got you.
And, sometimes they'll do it in Observe for Success, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's just, I walk in there, Sometimes they'll leave a little note for the teacher, just a comment, And so, can I say they do it daily? I can't, because I'm not there every day, and I don't see in Observe for Success where they're doing it.
mandated they do it daily, so they
Right,
Yeah, it's
right.
not mandated.
But are they in the classrooms every day? Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Robin, there's actually this success program. That's something they actually put down. I went into Mary's class today and, you know.
It's, what they do is they pull it up on their device, and, they fill it out as
Okay.
they're in there.
Right.
And then it has an email that they can send to the teacher. Sometimes we don't send the email to the teacher because sometimes it's just a data collection thing.
Right.
But, yeah, when they go in, they do a walkthrough, it saves it in that program.
Okay, well, that's good. I wouldn't want to put an added burden on anybody, I know that, but I just feel like it's a very quick, simple thing, not making a big deal out of it, But
Right.
just in other words, you're going to just walk in and good morning and see how things, you can, a minute or two tells you a lot sometimes,
Right.
so.
Right.
Well, any other concerns or questions? Okay, thank you, Ms. Hill. Do we have a motion to approve the reading comprehensive reading plan?
I move to approve the reading comprehensive plan.
We have a motion by Mr. Carroll, second.
A second.
Second by Ms. Knight. Any discussion? Thank you, Ms. Hill, for explaining that. All those in favor? Becky, 5-0. Okay. All right. Ms. Joseph?
Okay, a couple of things. First thing, I need all of you to give Ms. Bishop your T-shirt size today. Before you leave.
For what?
I'm gonna buy your T-shirt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you will be expected to wear it on August 8th, which is our countywide.
Okay. August 8th. Okay.
And I will give, we will not meet, yes, we'll meet before then, but I'll give you a copy of all these important dates that you need before then. A couple other things. At the last meeting, you approved a bid process for an internal audit. We've got one bid back, and Ms. Higgins, can you stay after for a few minutes? And let's open that. Okay. Ms. Rainick, you want to remind them about the July 24th meeting?
July 24th, a special meeting for the proposed budget to be presented for trim. Just a reminder, we still are waiting for the department to give us their information for the second calculation. They have until close of business on Wednesday to get it. So your paperwork will not be to you a week ahead of time. We'll get it as quickly as we can, and we'll get it posted as quickly as we can. So I just want to remind you, we're working as fast as we can. I'll be working all weekend with the CPA, trying to make sure it's all right.
The next thing I have to talk about, during the time of technology, and everybody's having issues with technology. It's not if you're going to happen, it's when you're going to happen, when it's going to happen. And something happened with our system, and Mr. Goya is going to explain that to you.
I just want to make you guys aware, so on Tuesday we were notified that we were included in a dump of files on one of the breach websites, dark sites on the internet, that a hacker had basically scraped all of our directory information. So what ended up getting compromised was the names and email addresses of all the users in our Google domain name. So basically all active staff and students. Thankfully, that's all it was. It's all considered directory information. So right now, we don't have any legal requirements for notice or anything like that. We are planning to send out a letter just letting people know that it happened, probably tomorrow or Wednesday. But that's what happened. Just want to let y'all know. We haven't been able to find out the exact way it happened, but I know it came from Google. So we're still working through how exactly it got out.
And you will be getting info about this little blurb tomorrow, probably tomorrow.
Yeah, Mr.
And so it's just names and email addresses,
That's
it
all.
wasn't birthdays or social security numbers?
Yeah,
any of
no
that kind of
other
stuff?
sensitive information. Is strictly names and emails. And then for the staff, some of the staff had a job title tied to it.
And it's your business email
Yeah.
address, not your personal email
All
address?
this, and for students, it was their school email address, so no personal email addresses.
That's all I have.
That's it? Okay, thank you, Mrs. Joseph, Mr. Isaac, thank you. Mr. Reeves?
Unless your questions are me.
I don't have any question. All right. I'd like to congratulate our FFA sponsor, Ms. Kaylee Jenkins. They received a lot of state and national awards with their FFA program. I'd like to have them come to the school board meeting, as a matter of fact.
Yes, ma'am. No one told us about it until we saw it in the newspaper, and had too much planned
Yeah.
for this time, and I'll have them here next time if possible.
Sounds good. Okay, we'll look
Even though
forward.
they're out of school, you can get them.
The
There might be a
Beta
possibility.
Club was out of school.
Yeah,
Okay,
Well,
but you're
whoever
not
can
just
make it.
asking.
I'll ask
And
them.
see, the Beta Club had just come back, and they were in that glory.
I've-
And I'm just saying, this has happened, and they didn't let us know, so, it might be kind of hard to get them to come back.
Well, we'll try to get as many as we can to come. Okay, Mrs. Hagan?
I have nothing to say.
Mr. Carroll?
No, just, congratulations to the FFA folks. They did a great job. That's all I got.
Ms. Thompson?
Ditto.
Ditto.
And also thank you to all of our staff for everything you do every day, instructional and non-instructional.
Ms. Knight?
I too want to just acknowledge our FFA. I also want to acknowledge our cheerleaders. They spent the week at FCA camp, and they showed out and represented us very well. And I just want to wish the same success to our Cowboys heading out this week, and traveling graces over them as they head out.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to conclude the meeting? We have a motion by Ms. Knight. All in favor?